Hey guys and girls, my name's Dan, welcome back to The Forge. In this episode of Trust Me, I'm a Blacksmith. I'm going to give you 5 tips and tricks to improve your blacksmithing instantly. Okay, these aren't gimmicks, these aren't hacks, these aren't anything special. They're just things that you probably don't know or you've never seen before. You might have seen me do some of them in my video, but I've never gone over and explained them. Or you might already be doing them and I might be teaching you to suck eggs. But this video is going to give you 5 tips to instantly improve your blacksmithing and hopefully allow you to come up a little bit of a level in your craft. So you've got to the point where you've made a couple of bottle openers, you've made a couple of pairs of tongs, you've made odds and sods, and you want to start expanding and making multi-component pieces, or perhaps you want to start improving the quality of your work and just lifting it up a little bit in order to come up to the standards of some of the people that you've seen on Instagram. Hopefully I'm going to be able to cover some tips, give you some tips today that isn't going to cost you very much money. They're not going to cost you, well, I think you should invest in the tools that I'm going to suggest investing in, but some of them you can find in ironmongers and like thrift shops and tool sales and stuff like that for very cheap. Some of the other things that you're going to have to go out and buy, but I definitely recommend that you do buy the things that I say. They're not very expensive and they will help you in the long run. Okay, tip number 1. You see a lot of people marking up their work with pieces of chalk, putting it in the fire and then using a very low temperature to come out to start their first set down or something like that, or having to rely on the chalk to stay on so that they can see what they're doing. Now, if you're getting your work properly hot, you should burn the chalk off. You want to be getting your work up to as hot as possible to start your first forging processes. It'll give you an advantage and it'll help get your work done. It'll even speed you up. Now, this little marking technique is really good. Not only will it help speed you up, but it'll help you see your marks when the metal is very hot. You want to take yourself a centre punch, and I'm basically going to find the end of this bar somewhere, and I'm going to just put a little centre dot mark with my centre punch, and that will just show me where I need to make my set down. Now, if it is for a set down or something like that, it's really good to try and get that mark right on the edge of the bar there, and there's a reason for that. I don't know if you can hear that, but you can feel it on the edge of the anvil, and instead of having to look for it, you can take it out of your fire, you can find that mark that you want to put the set down in, and you can get on with your set down. Okay, so I can feel that little dot there. I'm just going to place it on this side of the anvil, take my hammer. Just like so. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to round this up. As quickly as possible. So I've done my best there to get that as round as possible and looking as tidy as possible. But in order to go that little extra mile, I'm just going to take a rasp. This is a farrier's rasp. I believe this is what they use for giving a manicure to the old horses. But basically, by using the rasp whilst the material's hot, removes a sizable amount of material. And not only does it remove a sizable amount of material, but it gives a really nice finish. I hope you can see that. To buy a rasp like this new isn't going to cost you a lot of money. In fact, something like this can be picked up second hand after it's done its initial life as a farrier's tool for taking those horseshoes down. Not the horseshoes, the hoof down. You'll find that you probably have a rasp, especially if you do hot rasping. You'll probably have that rasp for the remainder of your career. But it does give you a really nice finish, and it can allow you to get that material looking like the shape you want without much stress and without really affecting the quality of your forge work. Just like so. Tip number 3. Wire brushing. I really think that every blacksmith should have a block brush like this one here. This is mine. This is sort of a bit old and beaten up. Basil. This is what they look like new. You can also buy them with handles on. And a little tip to make these last a long time is when I buy them, the ones that I sell, they're soaked in Danish oil, and then these wooden blocks are glued on. It's quite good to give yourself a handle. Sometimes you can catch your fingers on the side of your work. But the tip is to always push it in the same direction. That will stop the little leaves falling out. Now, the little wire brushes are okay, but these wire brushes themselves do a much better job than the little wire brushes. And also, what you want to try and do with the wire brushes is take your work out at a reasonable heat. Like I said, only ever brush in one direction. This will help your brush last a lot longer. But start at quite a high temperature with your brushing. And you see bits of material coming off. And you're actually fighting against the scale here when you're brushing at this temperature. As long as the metal has a certain amount of heat in it, it will continue to oxidise. But if you keep brushing like this, you're actually going to score and mark the material and give it a slight brushed finish. It looks quite nice. Something like this, potentially for a latch or something like that. Just going to keep giving that a nice brushing, giving you a really nice finish, the sort of finish that you might see a professional blacksmith produce. And it does look quite nice, and if you let that cool down naturally, it's got quite a nice shine to it there. If you let that cool down naturally, it looks quite good. Okay, just another quick note on the wire brush. You can use it to get rid of scale or any sort of detritus that has managed to build up on your work as you've been forging. Now, number 4 is taking the corners off your work. It's really very simple to do this process. It doesn't take a lot, but it adds so much to the overall finished piece. Now, if you have a particularly long piece that you're working on and you want to take the corners off, you can do this cold. You don't have to do this hot. And then all I'm going to do is just flanish this up on the sides, just making sure everything's nice and square. Now, this does a couple of things. It gives an aesthetic quality that makes it look like the stock was forged, the whole stock was forged from start to finish. It also makes whatever bar stock you're using look much more elegant. It does reduce the overall diameter of whatever you're using. And working this down and planishing everything so everything looks nice and tidy really will improve the overall aesthetic of your work, and it will make it look like a professional job. Again with the wire brushing, just make sure everything's straight and working through those temperatures. And with the combination of using the wire brushing and the corners off, it gives the finish, even though it's a rolled stock, it just makes it look that much more pucker. Okay, so I don't know how well you can see, but that's with the corners taken off, and it's quite a dramatic change. If you look at the other end of this bar, you see I haven't taken the corners off. It's quite industrial, doesn't have that forged element to it, even though this is hot rolled. And then you get those really nice forged qualities. And if I show you the end there, there you are. Didn't have to do much. And lastly, using an oil base or a wax based finish applied warm to your metalwork. A little bit of smoke to come off. Now you can use a boiled linseed oil, that'll dry nice and hard. A beeswax, this is a beeswax that's been dyed and it's had some terps added to it. It smells quite funky, it's quite nice. And it's because it's dark, it gives quite a nice finish. You could use boot polish, you can use some furniture polishes, work quite well. Danish oil probably works quite well. And the same again here. I really like using a beeswax. It dries nice and hard. It can be a bit sticky, it depends on its application, it depends on the atmospheric weather and all that sort of stuff. This is probably a touch on the hot side for this, but it's going on nicely. And that'll do a really nice job there. Now, you might want to just let these cool and just apply a few more layers as you go along. But this gives a really nice dark finish. It's quite organic as well. You can buy dark beeswax without the terps in, but it does give a really good quality finish to your work. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really enjoy making these sorts of videos, these tips and tricks videos. I think I am able to give you guys a lot more in a little video where I talk about fine details than I can and when I make a whole video where I make something like a pair of tongs or something like that. It's quite hard to give all those tiny little accuracies and those little finite details, but here, like this, I can break a subject down into its minutiae and work on showing you guys something quite nice. These little things here could be for like latches for thumbs, or for door latches and handles and things. you could make them into like the little balls for a handle. So that technique there, which I showed you in this video, is quite a little handy little technique. I wouldn't necessarily use that to do a penny scroll. I think your scroll will end up being quite fat. But it's definitely a technique to make a bit of mass on the end of a bar using that centre dot. I think works quite well. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it for you, and if you did enjoy this video, remember leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you are a subscriber, remember to ring that bell for notifications, and potentially you might have to go into your notification settings if you want to get reminders that I'm making videos, because YouTube may have changed it for you. Leave your comments down below, let me know what you thought of this video, let me know what you thought of some of my tips, whether or not if you have any great tips. I'd love to know of some of your guys' tips if you feel like I missed anything. Yeah, that's basically everything. So thank you for joining me. I will leave a link up here to a video that I made the other day. I will leave a link down here to another video. This is my Patreon. Go check that out. It's a great way to support the channel. And this down here is the subscribe button. Press that and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for joining me. Bye bye.